On New Year's Day, while the city still slept off champagne and confetti, Elena Morgan sat alone in the lobby of the hotel she owned. Two cups rested on the table before her, one filled with black coffee, one empty. She couldn't remember when she'd started setting out that second cup. Maybe it was hope, maybe just habit. The door opened. A black man in a worn jacket stepped inside, holding the hand of a little girl clutching a gray stuffed rabbit. The child looked at the empty cup, then at Elena. "Who are you waiting for?" Elena had no answer. Elena stared at the little girl, at her wide, curious eyes, and the stuffed rabbit pressed against her chest and felt something shift inside her that she couldn't name. The lobby of the Aurora Hotel carried the quiet shame of a party that had ended hours ago. Confetti still clung to the marble floors. Champagne flutes sat abandoned on side tables, their contents flat and forgotten. The crystal chandeliers, 12 of them, cast a pale gold light over the emptiness. It was 7:30 in the morning on New Year's Day, and until this moment, Elena Morgan had expected the day to pass like every other. Quiet, predictable, empty. She had owned this hotel for 7 years. She had been sitting in this same spot every morning for 7 years, watching the world move past the windows while she remained still. The wheelchair beside her table was as much a part of the furniture as the chairs themselves. Thomas, her head concierge of 15 years, had placed her coffee on the table earlier. Black, no sugar, no cream, along with the second cup he always brought without being asked. She had never told him to stop. She had never explained why she needed it there. Now a child was asking the question she had never been able to answer. "Lily?" The man crossed the room quickly, his hand finding his daughter's shoulder. "I'm sorry. She asks questions she shouldn't." Elena shook her head. "It's fine." She meant it, and the realization surprised her. The man's jacket was dark with rain, his posture straight, despite the weariness in his eyes. He carried himself with the quiet dignity of someone who knew he didn't belong in a place like this, but refused to apologize for existing. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said. "Our bus was canceled. Everything else is closed. We just need somewhere to wait." Thomas glanced at Elena, waiting for her signal. She gave a short nod. "Of course, sir," Thomas said. "Please make yourselves comfortable." The man guided his daughter toward a sofa near the window, but the little girl, Lily, had already lost interest in following instructions. She wandered toward the center of the lobby, counting under her breath. 1, 2, 3, 12 lights." She looked around the vast space, then back at Elena. "That's a lot of lights for one person." "Lily!" Her father's voice was gentle but firm. "It's true, Daddy. There's only one person here." Elena watched the exchange, something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. When was the last time someone had spoken to her with such unfiltered honesty? When was the last time anyone had seen past the wheelchair, the wealth, the carefully constructed walls, and simply stated what was true? Thomas appeared at her side. "I've just received word that the next bus has been delayed. The weather. It may be 3 hours or more." The man's jaw tightened. "Thank you for letting us know. We've already imposed enough. We'll find somewhere else." He took Lily's hand, ready to lead her back into the cold. Elena heard herself speak before she understood why. "Stay." The word hung between them. The man turned back, his expression guarded. "I'll have the kitchen prepare breakfast," Elena continued. She looked at Lily, whose eyes had grown wide. "Are you hungry?" Lily nodded eagerly. Her father remained still caught between pride and practicality. "Please," Elena added. The word felt foreign on her tongue. The man studied her for a long moment. Whatever he saw must have satisfied him, because he finally nodded. "Thank you. I'm Marcus Thompson." He gestured to his daughter. "And this is Lily. Elena Morgan." She didn't mention that she owned the hotel. None of that seemed to matter right now. Lily climbed onto the chair across from Elena. the chair where the empty cup sat, and placed her stuffed rabbit on the table with great ceremony. "This is Mochi," she announced. "She wants coffee too." Marcus opened his mouth to correct her, but Elena spoke first. "Thomas, please bring a cup of warm milk for Mochi." Thomas's eyebrows rose slightly before he nodded and retreated toward the kitchen. Lily beamed. Marcus's shoulders relaxed just slightly, and Elena sat in her usual corner at her usual table, but for the first time in longer than she could remember, the empty cup across from her was no longer empty. She didn't know what to do with that. She didn't know why it mattered. But as she watched Lily arrange Mochi's ears with careful precision, as she listened to Marcus quietly thank Thomas for the breakfast menu, Elena felt something unfamiliar stirring beneath the walls she had built around herself. It felt like the beginning of something. And that terrified her more than the silence ever had. Breakfast arrived on white porcelain plates. Scrambled eggs toast with butterfresh fruit and a small cup of warm milk placed ceremoniously in front of Mochi. Lily giggled at the sight. Marcus thanked Thomas quietly, his posture still rigid with the awareness that he was accepting something he could not repay. Elena watched them eat. She had ordered the same breakfast she ordered every morning: black coffee, a single slice of toast. She rarely finished, but today, for some reason, she found herself actually tasting it. "This is really good," Lily announced through a mouthful of eggs. "Better than the diner. Daddy, isn't it better than the diner?" Marcus wiped his daughter's chin with a napkin. "Don't talk with your mouth full." "But it is better." "It is," he admitted. His eyes met Elena's across the table, and she saw the internal battle playing out behind them, gratitude wrestling with pride, warmth fighting against the need to maintain distance. Elena understood that battle. She had been fighting it for 7 years. "What do you do, Mr. Thompson?" The question came out more formally than she intended. "Marcus, please." He set down his fork. "I'm an electrician, residential mostly, some commercial work when I can get it." "He's the best," Lily added. "He fixed Grandma's whole house when all the lights stopped working." Marcus smiled, the first genuine smile Elena had seen from him. It softened his face, made him look younger. "She's my biggest fan," he said. "Everyone needs one." Elena's voice was dry, but something in it made Marcus look at her more closely. She turned away from his gaze. The conversation continued in fragments, polite exchanges about the weather, the bus schedule, the hotel's architecture, surface talk, safe talk. Neither of them ventured deeper. Lily grew bored and wandered to a corner of the lobby, pulling a small notebook and crayons from her backpack. Within minutes, she was lost in whatever world she was creating on paper. "She draws constantly," Marcus said, watching his daughter. "Gets it from her mother." The word hung in the air. Mother. Elena noticed Marcus's hand move unconsciously to his wrist, touching the old watch he wore. The second hand wasn't moving. "Your wife?" Elena asked carefully. Marcus's jaw tightened. "She passed 3 years ago." "I'm sorry. Thank you." His voice was steady, practiced. He had clearly said those words many times before. Lily returned to the table, clutching her notebook. "Daddy, can I show her?" Before Marcus could respond, Lily had climbed back onto her chair and opened the notebook. A house, a sun, 3 stick figures standing in a row. "This is our family," Lily explained, pointing to each figure. "That's Daddy, that's me, and that's Mommy. She's in heaven now, but I still draw her so she doesn't get lonely." Elena's chest tightened. She looked at the crude drawing, the mother figure with wild yellow hair, the father tall and solid, the small girl between them holding what appeared to be a rabbit. "Your mommy has beautiful hair," Elena managed. "She was a hero," Lily said matter-of-factly. "She saved people. That was her job." Marcus placed his hand on Lily's shoulder. "It wasn't her job, sweetheart. It was her calling." "What's a calling?" "Something you do because your heart tells you to, not because someone pays you." Elena found herself leaning forward. "What kind of saving?" She was a volunteer first responder, Marcus explained. Started doing it right after we got married. Couldn't pass an accident without stopping. Couldn't see someone hurt without helping. His voice carried both pride and pain. She used to say everyone deserves a chance to live. The words struck Elena like a physical blow. Everyone deserves a chance to live. A memory surfaced, blurred at the edges, but suddenly present. Rain, smoke, the twisted metal of her car wrapped around her like a cage, and hands, warm, strong hands, pulling her free. A voice cutting through the darkness. Stay with me. You're going to be okay. Everyone deserves to live. Elena's fingers gripped the armrest of her wheelchair. When did she pass? She asked, and her voice sounded strange to her own ears. November, 3 years ago. She stopped to help at an accident on the highway and Marcus stopped the words catching. Another car didn't see her in time. Elena's mind raced backward. Her accident had been 7 years ago. November. A highway. A woman who wouldn't leave until she was sure Elena was safely in the ambulance. She had never known the woman's name. What was her name? Elena asked. Amara. Marcus said it like a prayer. Her name was Amara. Elena looked at the watch on his wrist, the one with the frozen second hand. She looked at Lily, still flipping through her notebook. She looked at Marcus, who had carried his grief for 3 years, the same way she had carried hers for 7. She wasn't certain. She couldn't be certain. But something inside her recognized something inside him. And that recognition terrified her. Excuse me. Elena's voice came out sharper than she intended. I have some calls to make. She didn't wait for a response. Within moments, she had wheeled herself away from the table, away from the lobby, away from the questions she wasn't ready to answer. Her private office was on the ground floor. She locked the door and sat in the silence, her hands trembling. What was she supposed to do with this? If Amara was the woman who had saved her, if this was real, then what did that mean? That she owed Marcus something, that her survival had somehow led to a child growing up without a mother? No. That wasn't fair. That wasn't logical. But grief and guilt had never been logical. She had survived. But she had never really lived. That was the truth she had been hiding from. The second cup wasn't hope. It was evidence that somewhere deep inside Elena was still waiting for someone to give her a reason to exist. And now 2 strangers had walked into her hotel and offered her exactly that. And she had run away, like she always did. An hour passed, then 2. Thomas knocked on her door. The weather has cleared, madam. Mr. Thompson's bus will be arriving shortly. Elena didn't answer. Another knock, softer this time. He's gathering their things. They'll be leaving soon. Still nothing. Thomas's footsteps retreated down the hall. Elena sat in the darkness, listening to the silence. This was easier. This was safer. Let them go. Return to the routine. The second cup, the empty chair, the book that never got read. But then she remembered Lily's question. Who are you waiting for? And she thought about the answer she hadn't been able to give. Someone who makes me feel like I'm not alone. She wheeled herself to the door, unlocked it, and moved back toward the lobby. The first thing she saw was the empty chair where Lily had been sitting. The table had been cleared. No trace of the morning remained, except for 2 things, a small piece of paper on the table, and Mochi, the gray stuffed rabbit, propped against the back of Elena's usual chair. Elena picked up the paper. A drawing, 3 stick figures sitting side by side. Underneath, in wobbly handwriting, Happy New Year. She looked at Mochi. Thomas appeared beside her. The little girl left those for you. She said you needed someone to keep you company. Elena's vision blurred. Through the glass doors, she saw Marcus and Lily walking toward the bus stop. They were almost at the corner. And Elena understood with a clarity that cut through every wall she had built that she was about to make a choice. She could stay here in the safety of her silence, or she could do something she hadn't done in 7 years. She could reach out. "Thomas!" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Yes, madam. Stop them. Please." Thomas didn't ask why. He simply walked toward the door. Elena watched him cross the street. She watched him approach Marcus, speak to him briefly. She watched Marcus turn back toward the hotel. And then they were walking back. Father and daughter returning to the lobby they had entered by accident. Elena didn't know what she would say when they arrived. But for the first time in 7 years, she was willing to find out. Act 3. A New Beginning. Marcus stood in the doorway, Lily's hand still in his. His expression was cautious, the look of a man who had learned to be wary of unexpected kindness. "You forgot something," Elena said, holding up Mochi. Lily's face lit up. She ran toward Elena and took the rabbit, pressing it against her cheek. "I didn't forget. I left her for you." "I know." Elena's voice was softer than she had intended. "But I think Mochi belongs with you." Marcus approached slowly. "Thomas said you wanted to talk." Elena looked up at him, this man who had walked into her hotel by accident and somehow managed to crack open something she had kept sealed for 7 years. "I need to tell you something," she began. "And I don't know if it will mean anything, but I think you deserve to know." Marcus waited, giving her the space to find her words. 7 years ago, I was in an accident. November. A highway outside the city. Elena's hands gripped the armrests of her chair. "My car flipped. I was trapped inside. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe." She steadied herself. But someone stopped. A woman. She pulled me out before the paramedics arrived. She stayed with me the whole time, talking to me, keeping me conscious. Elena's voice wavered. She said something I've never forgotten. She said everyone deserves a chance to live. Marcus's face changed. The color drained from his cheeks and his hand moved to the watch on his wrist. "I don't know if it was her," Elena continued. "I never saw her face clearly. I was in shock, and then surgery, and then learning how to live in this chair. By the time I thought to look for her, I couldn't find any trace." She looked at Marcus. "But when you told me about Amara, what she did, what she said, I felt something. A recognition." The lobby was silent. Even Lily had grown still. Marcus didn't speak for a long time. When he finally did, his voice was rough. "Amara never talked about the people she helped. She said it wasn't about her. It was about them, what they did with the life they got back." He looked at Elena. She would have wanted to know. "Did you do something with it?" The question landed like a blow. Elena thought about the past 7 years, the hotel she had built, the money she had made, the mornings spent alone with 2 cups on the table. "No," she admitted. "I survived. But I don't think I've really lived. I've been too afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Of needing anyone. Of letting anyone close enough to hurt me again. Of waking up one day and realizing I wasted the chance she gave me." Marcus was quiet. Then he pulled out a chair and sat down across from her, putting them at eye level. "I know what that's like," he said. "After Amara died, I told myself I had to be strong for Lily. I couldn't fall apart. I couldn't need anyone." He shook his head slowly. "But you can't carry that weight forever. Eventually it breaks you. How do you keep going?" Marcus glanced at Lily, who had wandered to her corner and was drawing again. "She keeps me going. Not because I have to be strong for her, but because she reminds me that life is still worth living." He turned back to Elena. "She asks the questions I'm too scared to ask. She's not afraid to love, even though she lost her mother. And every day she teaches me how to be a little less afraid, too." Elena watched the little girl with the crayons and the gray stuffed rabbit. "She's remarkable." "She is." Marcus's voice was warm. Amara would have been proud of her. They sat in a different kind of silence now, a shared understanding, a bridge built across 2 separate griefs. "I don't know what this is," Elena finally said. "I don't know what I'm asking for. I just know that when you walked out that door, I felt like I was losing something I didn't even know I had. Marcus nodded. I felt it too. When Lily left Mochi for you, I understood why. She saw something in you. What did she see? Someone who needed a friend. The word was so simple, and yet it unlocked something in Elena's chest that had been closed for years. I don't know how to do this, she said. I've spent 7 years building walls. Then don't take them down all at once. Marcus's voice was gentle. Just open a door. See what happens. Elena looked at the table between them. 3 cups now, her coffee his, and the small cup of warm milk for Mochi. Would you stay for lunch? She asked. Both of you? Marcus smiled. It was brighter than the first one she had seen from him. We'd like that. Lily appeared at the table holding up her notebook. I made a new drawing. She placed it down with great ceremony. 3 stick figures sat side by side looking out at what might have been a city skyline. Underneath in her wobbly handwriting, she had written 2 words. Elena looked at the words, then at Lily. New family, she read. Lily nodded enthusiastically. That's us. You, me, and Daddy. And Mochi, but she's too small to draw. Marcus reached for the drawing. Sweetheart, we just met Miss Elena today. We can't just... It's okay. Elena's voice stopped him. She was looking at the drawing at the 3 figures holding hands at the crooked letters spelling out something that felt like a promise. I like it. Lily beamed. Marcus shook his head, but he was smiling. And Elena sat at a table that was no longer empty. The afternoon light streamed through the glass doors, warming the lobby in shades of gold. The confetti from last night had been swept away. Everything was clean and new, waiting for whatever came next. Thomas appeared with fresh coffee and sandwiches. He set them down without comment, but Elena caught the slight curve of his lips as he turned away. Thank you, Thomas, she said. He nodded. Of course, madam. Happy New Year. It was the same thing he said every year. But this time it felt true. Lily settled into the chair beside Elena Mochi in her lap, already working on another drawing. Marcus sat across from them, his shoulders relaxed, the tension finally beginning to fade. They didn't talk about the future. They didn't make promises. They simply sat together, 3 people who had found each other by accident on a morning that was supposed to be like any other. Outside, the city was waking up. Cars moved through the streets. People walked by with coffee cups and shopping bags. None of them looked into the hotel lobby. None of them saw the woman in the wheelchair, the man with the broken watch, the little girl with the stuffed rabbit. But that was okay. Some beginnings don't need an audience. Elena picked up her coffee. It was still warm. Across the table, the second cup was finally full. And for the first time in 7 years, she didn't feel the need to count the days until everything fell apart. Because maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something that wouldn't